Gillette Public Access Television presents North by Northeast, a news magazine about Northeast Wyoming. I recently had the pleasure of speaking with Campbell County Health Dr. Peter Fort, who has over 15 years of experience in pulmonary, critical care, and sleep medicine. He explains the health risks that come with having a sleeping disorder and what steps need to be taken if you believe you have a sleeping disorder. Let's talk a little bit about sleep disorders. How common are they, and what when somebody says a sleep disorder, what is that?
Basically, it's any trouble a person may have going to sleep or staying asleep, or if they're excessively sleepy during the daytime. So we kind of break it down into those categories.
What are some signs or symptoms of having a sleep disorder?
The most common sleep disorder is sleep apnea, and the number one symptom is loud snoring, being very sleepy during the daytime. But other symptoms that are fairly common include waking up with headaches, waking up with sweats, having to get up to go to the bathroom at night, and just feeling groggy and unrefreshed when you wake up in the morning.
Okay. And why would you say that's dangerous, or why should somebody be concerned if they find themselves like that?
Well, obviously we need sleep to function.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of sleep is to recharge the battery or recharge the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not able to properly recharge your brain, you're not going to function well during the daytime. It's going to affect the way you perform. It's going to affect the way you think. It's going to affect your bodily functions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so let's say they seek out the help. How does that work when they come here to your office? What is the sleep study?
First is a visit with me in the office.
Mm-hmm.
We would do a comprehensive history and physical. We would identify the problems, and if it's necessary to have a sleep study, we would order a sleep study. A sleep study is a night in the sleep lab. We would hook up lots of electrodes to measure different types of parameters, brain waves, breathing, chest movement, leg movements, EKG, oxygen level, and essentially the person would just sleep. They'll go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, and we'll let them sleep, and then at 5 in the morning we wake them up and we take all the wires off.
Like you were talking, they come in at 8 o'clock and go to sleep, wake up at 5, and you're monitoring them, from my understanding, pretty much the whole time.
Correct.
With all those. Talk a little bit about that. It looks like we're kind of in the control room, I think you guys refer to this as. Talk a little bit about maybe what you're looking for or what you're watching.
Sure. So this is an example of a sleep study. We call this a diagnostic sleep study. And at the top here are these little squiggly lines that measure the EEG, or the brain waves. And we can tell if somebody is awake or asleep based on how these lines are configured. Then we see the eye movements here, and if we're in our dream sleep, we're going to have rapid eye movements, so we can see the eye movements. We have the chin tone, which will give us an idea if the person might be in more deeper sleep if they have a lower chin tone. We have the EKG, so we can see the heart rate. And then we have leg movements. So sometimes people have restless legs or periodic limb movement disorder, and we can measure their leg activity. And a snore channel, and then we have the breathing channels down here at the bottom. And with the breathing channels, we see a pressure flow in the nose, and there's also a airflow thermistor in the mouth. And we have chest movement and belly movement. So if somebody has sleep apnea, we'll see a drop in the pressure flow, and then we'll see an increase in effort in the chest and the belly. And so we see this line here where they stop breathing, and then we can see them wake up on the EEG, and we can see them take a few breaths, and as soon as they fall back asleep again, we can see them stop breathing again, and you can see the respiratory effort where they're still trying to breathe, but they just simply can't get the air in. And that's the basic, and at the bottom here we're seeing a drop in the oxygen level, and you would expect that if their person stops breathing, there's not going to be enough oxygen intake, and we'll see a drop in the oxygen level. So this is an example of a person coming in for a CPAP titration, which is a treatment for sleep apnea. And we have all the same leads and electrodes as the diagnostic study. The only difference is that we have a positive air pressure channel, and instead of the nasal flow, we're measuring the actual air pressure in the CPAP machine. And if you can just compare, previously you can see where the person stopped breathing, and then they would wake up to breathe, and you can see them breathing, and then go back to sleep and stop breathing again. With the CPAP machine, once we get the air pressure high enough to fix the obstruction, we can see the breathing become very normal and regular. And this actually improves the quality of the sleep, because now we can see the brain waves showing continuous sleep without any of the arousals or the wake-ups that we were seeing before.
Through looking at all this, there's some different sleep disorders out there. What kind of sleep disorders are there that people could have?
Yeah, the most common sleep disorder is obstructive sleep apnea, but there are many other sleep and breathing problems that we also treat and diagnose. There is central sleep apnea, where people stop breathing because they don't even try to breathe. We also have people with COPD, emphysema, and musculoskeletal diseases that tend to hypoventilate, or they have very low breathing at night, and these people also have trouble sleeping and breathing.
And if somebody is looking to choose a sleep study or go find a doctor, how should they go about doing that?
I would recommend going to a center that is accredited by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine publishes policies and procedures and standards of excellence, and an accredited center must meet or exceed those standards. And I'm happy to say at our center here, we are accredited by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine.
Like I said, I think next we're going to actually go into the sleep room and kind of see how this works, what you're monitoring, and see everything hooked up. And so thank you very much, Dr. Ford.
Thank you.
Coming up in the program, we will have part 2 of our sleep study segment. We're here today in Sheridan, and I'm here with Chad, the owner of PO News and Flagstaff Cafe.
That's how you
I believe
say
I
it,
got
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a historic building here in Sheridan, actually, especially the PO News side of things.
Yeah.
Chad, I guess maybe let's talk a little bit about the history of PO News.
You bet. It's in the historic downtown district of Sheridan. We're part of Wyoming Main Street, and this building is, I don't know exactly when the building was built, sometime in the early 1900s, and it's a 100-year-old tobacco shop.
Okay.
It's historically been the post office news. The post office was right next door, so the guys would come over and get cigars.
And read the news and
yeah,
do
exactly.
all that.
It'd be the hangout.
Okay.
So I carry that tradition on today. That's something I just can't see getting rid of. 100 years of history is priceless.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The Flagstaff Cafe is something that I graduated from Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Okay, I was wondering where
Yeah.
the Flagstaff came
Born in
from.
Flagstaff, Arizona, though I grew up in Jackson Hole, so I've been in Wyoming since 1982.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's how that all merged together.
Okay. And when we first kind of got here, you were talking a little bit about some of the history of the building and some of the original work that you have over there. Talk a little bit about those pieces that are over there.
All the cabinetry is original. I've never pulled anything out or found any true treasures behind it or anything. But always been a tobacco shop, and actually down in the basement of this building was one of Wyoming's legendary brothels. So
really?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a fun little tidbit of information.
And then, like you said, they had the cigars and things. You were talking a little bit about a cigar lighter or light over there or something?
Yeah, there's a lighter on the countertop, and you pull it forward and it ignites a flame. And that is featured in one of the photos that I have. It's an old black and white photo that I actually was here when I bought the business of the original owner. And so I was at a tobacco trade store, a show, and saw it, and I said, "Oh, I just got to have one of those." Unfortunately, it's not the original, but it's it's definitely a little feature.
And talk a little bit about the cigar bar, I guess. How many do you have? Where do they come from? And all the tobacco and everything.
Right. All kinds of tobacco. I try to stay legitimate with premium tobacco products. So I have lots of bulk pipe tobaccos, house blends, and then all premium hand-rolled cigars. None from Cuba, obviously, but primarily Dominican Republic, and a surprisingly great business. The premium tobacco is something that is still sought out and enjoyed. I merged in with hookahs several years ago, actually by customer request, came and asked, said, I'd like to buy a hookah, and I didn't have any idea what one was. Did a little research, and it's been a wonderful addition.
And then, like you said, you kind of added on the cafe portion, or the Flagstaff Cafe.
Yeah.
When did you kind of do that?
Right away, when I purchased the business, there was always a cafe. It was called the Downtown Diner, and the people I had bought the business from kind of knocked the wall down and brought it in. It was called the P.O. News Specialty and Tea Shoppy, and they did doilies and tea, and wasn't my style. I do enjoy cooking, and I love downtown diners, little corner cafes. I seek them out when I travel.
Yep.
So
as do
that's what my flavor is. It's nothing. It's great breakfast and lunch, and that's what we focus on.
Okay, great. What's kind of the specials, I guess? Like you said, breakfast and lunch. What are the things that people always seem to want and come in for?
I've got a breakfast burrito. It's a fat burrito, and definitely the #1 seller. We do great biscuits and gravy. Classic breakfast all day long. We're open 7 days a week from 6:30 till 3. So you can come in and get breakfast anytime.
Oh, nice.
And so that's always fun. Killer burgers. We have a Philly sandwich that's great.
Oh, nice.
We roast our own beef, and take pride in quality. No fryer, no fried foods.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And then gluten-free options, definitely something that I added on in the last summer, and something you just can't ignore. So we have a really nice gluten-free menu, and opens up a lot of variety for people that have dietary needs.
And everything's pretty much homemade, it sounds like. So if
course.
you're looking for some good homemade food,
Grandma's recipe.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah, just like Mom made it.
So again, I mean, if you're looking for local, and I mean, it's always nice when you support the local community, and I'm sure you have some long time members that come in, probably almost daily.
Twice,
sometimes twice, but breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, that's right.
And always come in and sit down and eat. Talk a little bit again. When are you guys open? And if anybody has any questions or anything like that, how can they get a hold of you?
7 days a week, Monday through Friday. I stay open with the tobacco shop till 5. The cafe closes at 3, and Facebook. I try to be active on Facebook, posting our specials and promotions and stuff, and that's definitely a way to get a hold of me and come in and see us.
Yeah, so, and like I said, it's a great place right downtown Sheridan, historic downtown. There's a lot of great shops around here too, just to check out, and then come in and grab a bite to eat while you're doing that. So, Chad, thank you very much for talking with me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Here is a look at the community calendar. The 14th Annual Durham Ranch Buffalo Stampede 5K, 10K Walk Run that will benefit Blessings in a Backpack will be happening June 6th, with registration starting at 7:30 a.m. For more information, visit durhamranch.com or call 307-939-1271. Check out the Sundance Summer Expo on June 13th at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Crook County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact Deanna Hooper at 307-629-0575. The first Third Thursday Street Festival of the year will be happening Thursday, June 18th, beginning at 5 p.m. This will be happening every third Thursday of each summer month in historic downtown Sheridan. For more information or to register as a vendor, contact Downtown Sheridan Association at 307-672-8881 or visit downtownsheridan.org. Later on North by Northeast, we tour the Kendrick family mansion in Sheridan. This set of featured pets come to us from the Gillette City County Animal Shelter. We have DJ, an adult male golden retriever. He is house-trained, neutered, and current on vaccinations. DJ is a nice dog that's good with kids. We also have 1-year-old Mercedes. She is house trained, spayed, and current on all vaccinations as well. She gets along with everyone. To adopt these pets or any other pets the shelter may have, you can contact them at 307-686-5249, or you can visit petfinder.com. And as always, please adopt a pet.
Thanks for having me. My name is Desi Hoxie. I am a registered sleep technologist and registered respiratory therapist at Campbell County Health. I work in the sleep center. I've worked here for almost 13 years, so I've seen thousands of sleep studies. Well, during a sleep study, to start with, we have our patients that we receive an order from the physician's office, and then once we receive that order, we go over that history and physical and check for insurance pre-authorization, so then the patient knows that their insurance is taken care of prior to coming in for the sleep study. Then once they are scheduled for their sleep study, we send out a letter to let them know that they're going to be coming up here for a stay here in one of our beautiful sleep lab rooms that was just newly remodeled in 2012. So when our patient arrives, we began applying different electrodes to the patient. First, we have them put on some electrodes to apply to their legs. They'll run them down through their pants so that they don't get caught on anything, and they're just a little sticker that goes on the side of their leg. It monitors restless legs or periodic limb movement disorder. Then we apply some electrodes, as you can see right here, to monitor the heart. There's 3 different electrodes we apply on the patient to know if they get into a certain cardiac arrhythmia, then we know, as well as monitoring if the heart rate goes up or down, if there's different symptoms going on. Then we put on a couple belts, a chest belt and abdomen belt that monitors the breathing in and out, because as Dr. Fort talked about, there's different types of sleep apneas. There's central sleep apnea as well as obstructive sleep apnea. So the chest belts tell us if there's a pause in that breathing and there's no effort there, it's the brain saying, oh, I forgot to breathe. If there's effort still, but there's no airflow, then that means it's obstructive sleep apnea. Then we monitor those apneas with this cannula and this little temperature gauge. It's through 2 different devices to make sure we're getting accurate flow across, to make sure that if we see that apnea, that is truly happening, as well as we have them wear here a finger probe to monitor their oxygen at night, to make sure that oxygen's staying. We like it above 90%. If it's dropping low with those apneas, we know that we need to correct that so they don't run into any of those cardiac risks or stroke risks, as Dr. Fort talked about earlier in the segment. We apply all these EEG electrodes on top of the head. We go through and mark each one of them and measure. They all go in a specific part of the head to measure what stages of sleep that they're going into. Sleep goes from the back of the head to the front of the head. So as the night progresses, sleep goes through a 90 to 120 minute cycle, starting at that stage 1, then going into stage 2, and then stage 3, that deep delta sleep, to when it goes into that dream sleep segment. The dream sleep segment shows here by these little eyes, rapid eye movement. It's called REM sleep, as well as in this chin. So that's how it indicates what type of sleep stages they're going into. They all kind of have their own particular role. You know, it's surprisingly rare for someone not to sleep. I've been doing sleep studies for approximately 12 years, and I think I've only had 2 patients who are not able to sleep in that time frame. So it's not uncommon. Is sleep normal with all of these electrodes attached to you? No, but it does able to provide us with the diagnosis that we need to find and treat for the patient. We don't expect them to sleep normal in our lab.
Hello, I'm here today in Sheridan, Wyoming, and I'm here with curator Sherry. And we're actually at the Kendrick Mansion in Sheridan, but it also goes by another name. Sherry, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yep, it's the Trail End State Historic Site.
The site itself is very interesting, but kind of the history of the Kendrick family is just as interesting, I think. And it has a long-standing history throughout at least the last 100 years, really, for Wyoming. Talk a little bit about the Kendrick family and who they were.
Well, John Kendrick first came here from Texas as literally a penniless, orphaned cowboy on a cattle drive. He first arrived in 1879 and eventually decided to stay in Wyoming. He worked his way up through the cattle company and was foreman of their operation, and eventually decided to build in Sheridan.
Oh, okay.
The family had a ranch 60 miles northeast of here, and that's where they lived for 18 years. And by the time their two children were middle school age, they decided they should move to Sheridan. The kids could go to public school. John could be closer to his business interests, and that's when they built Trail End.
Okay, and kind of an interesting story. When did they start building Trail End?
They started building in 1908, but it took 5 years to finish, a lot longer than anybody anticipated. So they finally moved in the summer of 1913.
Okay, and then something kind of interesting was when they were gearing up to move in, he was elected governor.
Yes, he got into politics, and 18 months after they moved in, he was elected governor of Wyoming. So then they moved down to Cheyenne.
And I think I was kind of reading a little bit too that this kind of became a summer home for them. This is kind of where they came while he was governor, and he also was elected US senator.
2 years into his governor's term, he became the first popularly elected senator from Wyoming to go serve in Washington, D.C. And so then the family moved from Cheyenne to Washington, and it really became just their home for vacations until their son was old enough and got married and moved in here with his wife.
I know also that while the building was going on, they were living on site.
They did. First they lived at the Sheridan Inn in downtown Sheridan. And then when the carriage house was completed, they moved into the carriage house in 1910. They didn't have their animals in there yet. They didn't use it for their carriages. Kind of an interesting tool of living. And it's as large as any regular home in Sheridan.
It is very large.
Right.
And then, like you said, this was finished in 1913, and it's a beautiful home. Talk a little bit about the home itself and how it got built, what it took to build this.
Sure. They employed an architect out of Billings and an interior designer from New York to help them coordinate their home styles. John and Eula acted as their own general contractors, and they had their own ideas from what they'd seen when traveling. But the whole house came together. We have a ton of their original documents, room specifications for decorating, cabinet instructions, how those should be built.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and a lot of the materials were imported from all over the U.S. So all the brick for the home was shipped here by railroad from Kansas. Clay roofing tiles came from Missouri, screens from the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
And then we have...
No wonder why it took 5 years. It took a while to get the supplies out here, I suppose.
Montana granite and Indiana limestone, and everything was sent here by railroad. And then their furniture came by railroad too, because they ordered that.
And you did touch on that a lot of the original drawings and things, and some of the well, I mean, obviously the building, a lot of the windows and some wallpaper and things seem to be original, but beautiful still, in very good condition. Talk a little bit maybe specific about some of the special pieces still here that are original.
Okay, well, over 90% of the furnishings we have here are original. And so we have their, it's called a Regina Corona record player, and it is in the library. The family actually had it on their ranch in Montana. It's from the 1890s. We have the correspondence from when they ordered it. We have instructions on how to fix it, because bring it out to a ranch in a wagon needs a little tune-up.
I would imagine it got bounced around a little bit.
And it still works. We have the original records. They're a tin record. They're metal, so they're not the vinyl records.
Interesting.
And so we have that piece. Their dining table is original, and at its smallest, it can seat 4 people. It's perfectly round, but it has 8 table leaves, and when you extend it, it'll seat 24 people.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And maybe we're currently in their ballroom, which obviously it's a very big room, and it's on the top floor. Maybe talk a little bit about the house itself and some of the rooms that this home has?
Sure. Well, and on the first floor, it's their entertaining, their public spaces. So you have the foyer where people would come in, the dining room, the drawing room, and a library, as well as a guest bathroom.
Okay.
The second floor has 6 bedrooms. 3 of them are for the family, and 3 of them are for guests. And then the top floor has the ballroom as well as the servants' quarters.
And it sits on a beautiful site. Talk a little bit about the site itself.
Yeah, it's 3.8 acres, and what you see today is the original yard. The Kendricks had lots of land holdings in town, but this was the yard that they intended. And actually, if you walk the border of our property, you'll see the footing for a fence that was never built, but the concrete footing is still there, so you can see our boundaries.
Oh, interesting.
And, yeah, and another interesting thing about the site is that the Kendricks were the first people in Wyoming to have a professional landscape artist come and do their yard.
Oh, really?
It was the first professionally landscaped private home in Wyoming. Before that, it was just for public buildings.
And I guess also maybe let's touch on if anybody has any questions or just wants to find out some more information, or again those times and dates when you guys are open. Where's a good place where they can find that information?
Well, our website, we have a brand new website. It is trailend.co. And it's trail end. There's no trails.
No trails.
There's no
okay.
S on
just
it.
a trail end.
Yep, just trailend.co. And it's a really extensive website. There's 200 pages or more of articles, photographs, information on the site, anywhere from how to bring a school tour or reserve the grounds for a wedding to articles on our past whole house exhibits.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Sherry.
Thank you for having us.